So I got a call from this lady. She said her neighbor referred me. She said that when she turned her kitchen sink on, the adjacent cabinet to the right would leak. Water would come out over the top of the cabinet onto the floor. So she had a couple of low pans under there catching the water. And when she opened up the doors to the kitchen base and looked under there, she couldn't see any water leaking. So I said, this sounds interesting. I better get over there and find out what's going on. And that's what this video is about. Stay tuned. I'll be right back after the intro. So naturally, when I get there, first thing to do is turn the water on, open up the cabinet, see what's going on. And she had some pretty ratty looking pipe under the sink. But on my initial look-see, I don't see any water leaking. So I got to get myself down in a position to see what's going on. And as I get closer to the wall, I discover the leak. And as you can see here, this was actually pouring into the cabinet to the right of the base cabinet and filling up the bottom of the cabinet, and then it was pouring out onto the floor, and she had a couple of sheet pans there catching the water. So obviously this piece going into the hub was severely rotted, but she just didn't see it. She couldn't really bend down. She would just open the cabinet. And I just put my hand on that trap and it just broke right off. And that nipple that's going into that hub in the wall is completely blown out on the bottom. It's just, rotted beyond recognition. And, unless you actually stuffed your head in there, you really couldn't see the leak. So now it's a matter of getting this piece out of there. So I actually made one cut, and as you can see, this nipple is completely destroyed. It's been in there a while. I mean, these houses are in excess of 100 years old. And you can see the other piece in there that's all blown out on the bottom. And now I have to actually go in there and get that piece out of there. And yeah, I mean, this is typical here of these older homes here in Brooklyn, New York. And so I actually made another cut close to the hub. And then I make a series of plunge cuts with a sawzall with a carbide blade on there. And I will actually go in there and knock the piece out, or to the best of my ability, try to get those pieces out of there. And I make those cuts right through the lead up to the cast iron hub. And now it's just a matter of getting that piece out. As you can see, it actually, the whole piece kind of just got loose. And now I had to go in there with a pair of pliers and get that out of there. So I got this piece out in relatively, decent shape, if you will, all in one piece instead of going in there and taking it out in pieces. And yeah, look at the bottom of this. This was blown out. This thing was leaking a long, long time, and she had no clue what was going on. But at any rate, so now I had to go back in there and take the lead pieces out. I think I made a few more cuts with the Sawzall to get the lead pieces out, along with the old oakum that was in there. But yeah, this is the way things go here in Brooklyn, New York, with the old extra heavy cast iron. And you can see there I have the lead pieces that I pried out, along with the oakum. And yeah, it's typical of a lot of these homes. I mean, according to this homeowner, this home was like 100 years old. So it's a bunch of row houses, kind of like townhomes, and yeah, they're old. I mean, they've been here for a while, and yeah, this is the process. And as you can see, I went in there and scraped out the hub. Now I made a couple of little nicks in the hub, but that's of no consequence because I used a rubber coupling to sit inside this hub as the replacement, because I wasn't going to go in and caulk it with oakum and pour new lead in there. It was in a bad spot. So I went back up to the sink. I prepped the new strainer, got that all set in place, and I wanted to get that done because once I got the new rubber gasket in the hub, I just wanted to go through the whole process and complete the whole job. So here you see me setting the strainer in, and I always put some Mega Lock down first, And then I have some stainless putty that I was using in this case here, and then I went underneath and got my basket and my brass lock nut, along with a rubber gasket and a friction washer that you'll see me here pushing into place and centering. Uh, and then once I get that up snug up against the bottom of the sink, I went and got my channel lock pliers, which you're not going to see here, but I whacked that up pretty tight. So now it was a matter of installing my gasket into the hub. And here is that gasket. And we're going to go right into that hub. And yeah, once I get that in, and then I'll prep a piece of plastic with some waterproof silicone grease around the pipe and on the inside of the rubber gasket. And you got to pop that in. And actually, when you pop it in, the gasket expands up against the cast iron hub, thereby making a watertight seal. And yeah, I mean, it was the only way I was going to do it because there was too much wood around. I wasn't going to pour lead like I normally would do if it was exposed. So now I got a hanger on there to support that piece. And now it's a matter of just, going through the measurements and putting everything back in place. And as you can see here, I eliminated the tubular waste. And what I use in this case up at the top at the strainer, I actually clamped the pipe right onto the strainer. That's a ProFlex 3001-150, which goes from 1.5" cast iron or plastic to 1.5" copper or 1.25" plastic. And that's tied right onto the strainer. And I'm never going to have to worry about this again. I for sure will be dead by the time this leaks, as will probably the homeowner because she was pretty well up there in age. But so this is what the finished product looks like. Again, you know, a little easier today because we're allowed to use the Schedule 40 PVC. Back in the old days, I probably would have had to put back, another galvanized nipple and go through that whole caulking and pouring lead. So now I'm running the water and I want to make sure everything is leak free on the bottom. And we'll go down below, take a look at things, make sure everything's cool. And everything's looking really nice. No leaks. I'm very happy with the way it's looking. And I also, I'm going to scoot next to that cabinet, the cabinet to the right of the base cabinet here. I want to get a closer look at where that piece goes into the rubber gasket and make sure everything's looking good. So I scoot under there. Now that cabinet was full of water when I got there. The bottom of that cabinet, and it was pouring out onto some. She had some sheet pans under there catching the water. I mean, she would run the water, and she would just look at the water coming out of the cabinet, and then she would look under the kitchen sink, and she'd see nothing. And yeah, so that's been happening a while, and luckily she asked her neighbor for a recommendation, and she called me, and we got this taken care of, and everything's good. And yeah, another job successfully completed, and another happy customer. So there you go, guys. It never ceases to amaze me how rotten some of these pipes can get. And honestly, I really couldn't see anything leaking until I actually crawled under there and got a look at what was going on. And you could barely see that the water was working its way into the cabinet to the right of the sink base. But anyway, we got it all done, and she was happy. I was happy with the way it turned out. And yeah, listen, 100-year-old house, galvanized pipe. You saw that tubular under the sink. Although it wasn't leaking, it was in such ratty condition. But nevertheless, that was the job. We got it done. She was happy. Everything turned out well. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new to the channel, you may want to consider subscribing. Also, the most important thing you can do is hit that thumbs up button and actually leave a comment down below, because if you don't do that, these videos get lost. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Stay well. And as always, guys, happy plumbing.